Okay, welcome to
I
this.
think, yeah, yeah. I think we can introduce ourselves first to know each other.
Right. So let me
I
start
think
it, and
Mano,
then I'll put you. I'll give you the
sure,
thing.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, welcome to this session. Today, we'll be talking about IGF and sharing my experience about what I have done in my past. My name is Shridip Rayamaji. I've been involved with the internet governance community from past few years. I mean to say, I've been involved with Internet Society chapter since 2007. That's when we founded the Nepal chapter, ISOC Nepal chapter, and I have been involved with a lot of the IG internet governance community. I mean to say the IGF, NRI, the Internet Society, ICANN. Currently, I'm a mentor for the ICANN community at large community. Apart from that, I am a MSG for APRIGF, where Namkha was a fellow and I was his mentor. And apart from that, I was also part of the Asia Pacific School of Internet Governance. I was the secretary. I've been there since 2016, and have been doing a lot of sessions and things like that. So I have my experience. If you want to know more about me, I'll post a link where you could see my engagements, and you could uh, you could see what I've done. So basically this is the work that I do, and I do a lot of community outreach and engagement. So now let's start with your introduction, one by one. You can unmute and give your introduction from you, Namkam. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I think that you already know me. So I'm Namka Zangpo, currently working in one of the private ISPs in Bhutan. So I've been engaging with Internet Governments Forum since during the lockdown, like during the lockdown. So I saw some of the engagement with IGF, and that's like how I started into Internet Governments Forum. So basically, like we are also thinking of starting like our national IGF, and during the BT knock, like we have knock in Bhutan. So
Right.
I gave overview of the IGF and like how we can contribute in those things, and then people were interested. So we have
Right.
interested like a very enthusiastic group of people who wants to take it forward. So like
Right.
basically we are starting and we have like no idea like how to go about. That's how
Right.
like we consulted you for your advice and
Sure.
like
Sure. No worries.
experiences. So I think next anybody can go. I think Manoj sir.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Hello, everybody. Let me turn on the camera.
Sure. Sure.
Something.
Sorry, my
Oh, I
camera
think
is not working. So
this is always good to see and talk with. Okay. Am I? Can you see me?
yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Pratima Kezong Namka and hi. Sorry, how do I pronounce your name? Sridip,
Yes. Sridip.
right? Sridip, okay. Hi, I'm Manoj Adhikari. I work in ABID at the moment. I have a long history with internet, so I think I'll share my LinkedIn profile for that. But
Sure. Sure.
here we are here basically for to discuss about IGF. So let me let you all know how I got interest in IGF and all. So it was back in Singapore in 2022 when Pratima and myself we were attending uh, EPNIC conference and
Right.
workshop as fellows. So that is when it was APRIGF was
Right.
co in Singapore. So we were just bored with our sessions and we just thought we might want to attend few of APRIGF. And that is
Session.
when we knew what actually internet governance is, how it works, and it was so interesting and it was inclusive. It was, everyone was, hi Kezak, nice to see you. So everyone was like, it has to be internet is basic right of everybody, and you should not limit it to the ones who can, who are able and not the disabled ones. So it was interesting, and that's how we came back to Bhutan and asked whether we have IGF and all. Unfortunately, no one knew what IGF was except people like Namka and all. who are working in telcos and who are aware of ICANN and all this AP. So that's how we started this group. We are still amateurs in this. We don't know how to start. We contacted un.org. They supported us. They said
Right.
they will give us a website and mailing list and all. But again, now
Okay.
we have reached a deadlock because now our government is getting involved and they are not replying. So we don't know what to do. And like Namka just mentioned, he recently presented in the BTNOC, which me and Pratima were part of. We are core team members.
Right.
So yeah, it was something really nice. The community took it positively. So we feel that they know what internet governance is and how important it is. But we need somewhere to start. So yeah, that's why we are having this meeting. So
Sure. Sure.
that's in a nutshell what IGF is from my point of view.
Okay.
Up to now, I think back to Kezon. Maybe we can go forward.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gazin. A little bit about myself. I was working in Singapore for about 5 years. During that time, I was working for two different tech companies. Now I'm back in Bhutan and I'm working at DHI. When it comes to internet governance, I do have a holistic view from the policy point of view. So I understand how tech companies such as Facebook and TikTok, how they function, how they govern their uh, field. And I have also done 2 years of it's kind of like a fellowship, but it's not. It's kind of, and it's about artificial intelligence in a democratic government. So I did case studies for that, and I was the team lead for about my last semester there. So where I did it is the Center of AI. It is CAIDP in Washington. And I'm so happy that MJ was the one who introduced me to IGF. I was very enthusiastic. I still am. To contribute as much as I can, leverage whatever skills and knowledge I could. The last thing I did for IGF Bhutan was help make the PPT that Namka had presented at BT Nog. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Pratima.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Pratima, and I work with the government. Regarding the IGF, I think I've done some of the courses, policy development courses in Ethnic Academy and Icon Academy, and then I'm looking forward for today's meeting. Thank you.
I think next we have Perna.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to meet you all. As for me, I'm like very new to this IGF world. In fact, I just got introduced to it this year through Net Mission Academy, which I'm very grateful for. It was a 3 months course through which I got to know about what the IGF world was about. And I just attended a fellowship with Achanamka in Taipei, APRIGF, which I'm grateful for. And in fact, Shrideep sir was my mentor there. So, hello, sir. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to contribute more to this cause, and I just want to learn more about it. Currently, I just completed my bachelor's degree, and I'm currently working as technical business analyst in Thimphu Tech Park. Uh, and that's all. Thank you.
So thank you all for that wonderful introduction. Hearing you from your part of your experience and what you guys are trying to do, it's like really happy to see so much of energy in the room, and it is really interesting. So first thing that you have to understand about IGF is, I'm cutting short the history, because it's all boring. You can see it in the in the web about what IGF is and what IGF processes are, right? So cutting that short, I'd probably get down to what IGF is all about. So IGF is basically an open platform to discuss about internet governance. So when you talk about Internet Governance Forum. So there are basically three types of Internet Governance Forum, right? The first one is the international, that is governed by the UN. The second one is the regional one. For Asia, we have APRIGF, and third one is the national. So that would be Bhutan IGF, Nepal IGF, Indian IGF, and all these things. So what is an IGF? So IGF is an open platform where people come in. They have different slots allotted, and they come there and talk. So you might be thinking that since it's governed by UN, is it a formal meeting? But it is not a formal meeting. It is a it's kind of like a meeting where a lot of the issues are collected and passed on. So basically, what happens in IGF is they collect the voices of people. There are different sessions happening with different slots, and you go join. You talk about issues, freedom of expression, human rights, you name it, and you join. You talk about issues, and what happens is a report comes out. So that report is further built on. It is used as a supporting document, even in countries, uh, at national level, at regional level. That's the only thing that IGF functions for. So it's an open forum where people come and sit, talk about issues, and a report is created, and it goes like it gradually builds up. I mean to say, when you do the Bhutan IGF, it goes to the upper level. You transfer it to the, now they have a NRI group. So that's like national and regional IGF group, specifically targeted to promote IGF in the region, and overall to create a collaboration and better communication. So you send out that report to there. I'll further talk about how to contact them and how to become their member. And there are certain funds they help you. I think there is a deadline that is given in the website where you can apply for funds. But before that, you need to form a MSG, multi-stakeholder group, multi-stakeholder group that governs the overall process. So there are certain mandates that an IGF has. I mean to say, according to the information given, it has certain, internet is believed to have a certain core values, which is supposed to be end-to-end principle, open standard, universal access, freedom of expression. As you all are part of the internet community, you have been working, you all know what it is, right? But the point is, why do we need an IGF? So the basic point about the importance of IGF is, it is needed because we want to voice out the government. A lot of the times, what happens is, it's a voice of civil society that helps the government realize that how the internet is shaping up. So it's a very good face off for the government to participate, as well as to learn, as well as to help in their policy making process. So it's not a full-fledged official document, but it is a supporting document that helps in further creating a dialogue, for the starting, whether you want to talk about a certain policy of freedom for expression. IGF is the place. And in a lot of the countries, IGF is it is not promoted. I mean to say, government kind of like doesn't participate in all these functions, in all these events, right? So if the government participates, it's a very welcoming, and it's a very as we say in internet governance, it's a bottom up multi-stakeholder process. Because the way we see it is, internet today, because it's being used by everyone, right? It is not just a commodity that is used by a technical community, it is used by everyone. So because it is used by everyone, there is the rules and responsibilities and principle that it has to be governed by everyone. That is the reason why the whole concept of internet governance came up, and then the multi-stakeholder concept came in, that how internet should be governed, right? So these are certain values that overall takes up the whole internet governance values, and it works like that. Anybody has any questions? Please feel free to
No.
raise your hands and ask me questions, because a lot of these things are kind of like sounds very tricky, but I'm trying to make it more simple about what IGF is, how it should be done, and you will see a lot of the things coming up here. So the major hurdle for the IGF process is how to increase participation, expansion of regional IGF, internet politics, leadership, capacity building, policy making. Because a lot of the times what happens is when you are trying to do an IGF, it's government sees you as a threat. A lot of the times this is the problem, this is the challenge, because IGF is basically a civil society event. A lot of the times, whether you talk about ethnic event, those are more of a technical thing, but IGF, it's an open place. People come in, people share, people talk about the problems, challenges, and it's recorded, and then a certain amount of summary or zest is taken out, and it's given to the forwarded to government or any other institution that it requires. So there is always a hustle and a bustle. So I think it's a very good way to start to talk about issues, but a lot of the times the governments are very hesitant to, governments are like, they don't take up the issues easily. So I think if the government is comfortable enough to take it up, that's very good. I mean to say, even in Nepal, when we started the IGF, the government was the host, so it went very smoothly. And it was like we did it from 2016 to 2019. Then we had certain issues, and right now it is not happening. But till the time we had it, it was done under the government secretariat, and under the government secretariat, I mean to say, under the DOIT, Department of IT, was doing it, and we kind of like, collaborated and contributed to it. So the role of the multi-stakeholder group is very evident here, because these people include people from different sides of the community. I mean to say, the academics, the private sector, the government, and the technical community, like you all come in, and you kind of like create that slot where people come in and talk about issues. I mean to say, even for freedom of expression, there are like different ideas for different stakeholders. So this needs to be understood from all the stakeholders. Different perspective creates that standard version of policy where it can be used for the benefit of the public, right? So that is where, it's like, it's subsidized, right? If you come as a, if you take it as a, it's a civil society voice, it's a more like this thing, then it goes to the polarization part of government seeing it as a part of civil society attack, kind of a thing. No, I think here we have to work with the government. Here we have to work with different stakeholders, creating that engagement so that it works as a more of a policy building. Like it's very hard for the government to know what the voices of public are, and IGF provides an exactly a perfect forum where people can come and talk about, respectfully talk about issues of their challenges, problems, things like that, where better solutions can be formed. How can we create? So I think it is more of a collaboration where these things can work on. So the major hurdle here are capacity building. There is a certain survey, there is a certain standardization issues that comes in, there is a communication process that has to be established, and all these things when they go together, then you create that vibe of internet governance where the values are equal, where you have a universal axle, where human rights are, it is respected. I mean to say, everyone from their side, they might work as certain stakeholders professionally, but when they come down to their homes, they are all internet users. So ultimately everyone understands the challenges and problems of a internet or technology. So that's where the IGF creates that bridge where we are flat, and we kind of like lay down the problems to further create that advantage, for making better policies, for making efficient policies, and creating better awareness, capacity building, doing things. So it's the perspective about how we drive it. So that is very important, how we are going to drive the IGF. whether we want to put it as a civil society event or whether we want to take it as a multi-stakeholder, governing, a multi-stakeholder governing event where everybody contributes, collaborates, and learns, and further creates some excellent goals and sets some vision. So the second is, what are the advantages of IGF? Anybody has any questions?
I have few, but I'm just noting it down at the moment.
Sure, sure. Or you can like put it out and like we can go hand on hand.
So maybe you'll cover at the end. So that's why
Sure,
I'm
sure,
just
sure. No
waiting.
worries, no worries. Once I finish this, then probably like we'll talk about, and even my experience about going to different IGF, and like I've been attending IGF since 2013. So I've like done a lot of IGF. So yeah. Let's go. Let's finish this, and then we'll talk about it. So, advantages of IGF: a broad platform to address issues and problems, right? Especially with the internet community. I mean to say, it can be governance, it can be standardization, it can be communication, it can be outreach, it can be capacity building. So, you can lay it out, standard policy and mechanism to address the problems of the world over. I mean to say, a lot of the times, the challenges for internet today is not global, it is more of local based. I mean to say, we use excellent technology, but when it comes to policy, they are like, it takes time for them to update it. It is not community friendly, it is not human friendly. A lot of the times Facebooks are banned, a lot of the times TikTok is banned. A lot of the things are happening in Asia, even in Nepal. TikTok was banned, now it's like removed. Things like this. So I think IGF is the perfect forum where people come in and express their ideas about why TikTok should be open, or how we can what should be done. There is always a justification from the government side, but there is always a need of the public voice to be heard, because ultimately it impacts the people, right? So that place is IGF. So control over digital divide and net neutrality. So IGF also works as a forum where you have the platform where you can communicate, where you can talk about issues of digital divide, net neutrality, and all these issues. Because ultimately internet is has been termed as a human rights now, and we want it to be used in a certain way, though there are contents that are bad, sad, whatever. you know it is, there are harmful contents, so we want to protect them. But banning them is not the solution. Raising awareness, putting giving doing capacity building is a better way to see the world. Because I've been saying this, that internet is like a knife, right? You don't ban your knife. What you do is you give values to people. I mean to say, in the family, you don't put the knife, put it, lock it in the closet. But what you do is you teach your children how to use it, what happens if you use it. So these consequences are very important, and capacity awareness building, these are the tools where our government has to do the effort, so that efficiently things can challenges can overcome, hurdles can overcome. So no bias system, equal opportunity of business and exposure. So a lot of the times what happens is IGF kind of like creates the forum for collaboration, voicing out issues, and there is an opportunity as well. Bilateral relationships, these are the things which helps in standardization of policies. I mean to say, a lot of the times countries do sign up for different policies, different laws, and in those, there are advantages, there are disadvantages, and IGF kind of like, especially when it talks about internet, internet trades and things, there are certain things where IGF kind of like lobbies it, because all the stakeholders come in, the user group come in, the business sector come in, and the government is also there. So it kind of like pace ups the issue. It might take a government a certain time, 6 months, 7 months, to do a research, to do this, but the stakeholders are there, the private sector is there, the government is there, so things can speed up, right? So effective in growth and monitoring of internet. as we know, internet has been booming, and it is like currently growing big in especially in Asia and Africa. I mean to say the next billion is going to come from Asia and Africa. So that is the reason why we have to be aware about the issues, about the challenges. We have to be, because those laws that are created in USA might not be feasible for us, right? So policy building has to standardize, it has to be localized. Those laws, those standards, we have to adopt it, and especially with IGF it helps. So effective in growth and monitoring of internet, issues like pornography, cybercrime can be easily overcome. So I mean to say, why is it that these forums are very important in terms of issues like this? Because with IGF, it's a multi-stakeholder environment. The different stakeholders come in, so the problems are there, the people are there, it's very easy to tackle it. The government banning the banning the pornographic websites, or certain website is not a solution, it's never a solution. The government has to work on with the values, the government has to work on with the awareness and capacity building, right? So even in Nepal here, like we had a lot of issues with banks, where banks have been hacked, and a lot of the ransomware things happened, and cyber attacks and things like this. So there, after a certain time, the central bank issued a certain regulation that cyber hygiene has to be maintained. Cyber audits have to be maintained. So these things were like more like regulated after that. And even during the IGF, we kind of like raise these issues about how especially critical infrastructures need to work with standard use and standard values of what internet safety is, internet hygiene is. So better security policies, as I already mentioned, once you have all the issues, it's really hard to it's really easy to control. And since all the voices are there, it is more of a very convenient way of the government to come into consensus about what the people want. So that is the main voice of the IGF. So hard to control and monitor due to a number of countries. The disadvantage of IGF is like it's an open forum. So a lot of the times what happens is like the issues go different ways. And since there are different countries talking about an issue, I mean to say, freedom of expression in America is defined differently, freedom of expression in Bhutan is defined differently, and freedom of expression in Nepal is defined differently according to our laws, right? So we have to abide by the local laws and regulation, and further work with the international standards, so that it can work for everyone, right? It cannot be like, we cannot like radically change it, but gradually it can be penetrated, and it can be standardized. Hard for developing and underdeveloped sorry hard for developing and underdeveloped to keep up with the developed countries in terms of technology and manpower. That has always been an issue. Why? Because uh, a lot of the times what happens is technology is created at their side, so the laws regulations are also made for them. So what has happened in the past 10-15 years is uh, the growth of the internet has resulted in with our side. I mean to say, it has become so popular, it has become so big, because our people are using it more. Their number of internet penetration rate or users is like, it has gone to the saturation. But in our side of the Asia, in the other side of the Africa, still it is growing. As I said earlier, the next billion is coming from our side. So a lot of the things, and a lot of the challenges are also from our side, right? So that is the reason why a lot of the focus is currently being given to Asia Pacific and Africa. And a lot of the policy building, if you go to ICANN, ICANN, if you have heard or not, ICANN is more about public policy process. So it more works with the DNS, and a lot of the community comes in to make the policies that governs the DNS, that works with the DNS. So standard. Okay, so where is that? So the next one is okay, IGF initiatives, national, sub-regional, regional, and youth IGF. So these are basically the different types of IGF, as I mentioned earlier. So they have this IGF yearly, done under the UN banner, and you all can also apply. I think yesterday or today is the last day to apply for the travel fellowship. You all can apply. If you have applied, that's good. If you have not, then you can attend it remotely as well. So you want to register yourself, and then probably you get all the information there. You want to sit, if you're interested in freedom of expression. A lot of the sessions are related to civil society, like digital rights, freedom of expression. There is the technical segment as well, but a lot of the segments are more related with the human rights and all these issues. And you could always join in even remotely as well. You can participate. You could raise your concern, and talk about issues. So it is more like learning. I mean to say, if you ask me my experience, when I went to the first IGF, I think my first IGF was in 2013, Bali, and Indonesia. So I was sitting in a room in a UNESCO session, and I had some idea about what IGF is, and I was engaging with the Indian governance community, and they were talking about Asia, and somebody talked about Nepal, and I was like shocked. There was a white guy talking about Nepal, and I am sitting there from Nepal, trying to understand what this guy was trying to say. So I stood up, I raised my hand. I was intimidated because everybody was looking at me, and I told them that this is the situation happening in Nepal. You are wrong. So mister, you are wrong. I'm from Nepal. I'm a journalist working currently there, and this is the freedom of expression state, and that has been recorded, and that is there, and everybody looked up to me, and like and I could put it in a so validated way, because a lot of the things that happened to me was what I shared. So and it was a kind of like a challenge for me, because everybody in the room, they were from different organizations, since it was a UNESCO freedom of expression session. So everybody was like baffled. How can this guy speak up? And I was like, I stood up and shared what was happening in Nepal. So that is the way, because from that day I've never stopped. I mean to say, every time I go to IGF, I prepare myself. I prepare case studies, as I told to Namka and Prerna, that when you go to all these forums, you need to prepare and make your voice loud, right? And make them hear that this is not the real. Okay, somebody. Okay, this is not the real way of what is being portrayed, especially in the outside world. Because a lot of the times what happens is, a report is being prepared by a white guy or whatever. As we know how it happens, that somebody from outside comes in and writes a report, and that report is being sent to ADB or whatever, and they forecast all these policies. Now things have changed. I mean to say, they are intervening grassroots level. People, they are trying to get the information, they are trying to get the research done. A lot of the money is being spent. That is what has changed in past 20 years, that they are reaching out at grassroots level. They are contacting people, especially with internet governance, digital e-governance, all these things. So those are the things. And as I mentioned, sub-regional, for Asia, we have APRIGF. If you want to join, you could send an email, join their mailing list. You will start receiving the emails. Then you kind of like get the idea of what is happening. Then you participate in their meetings. They have their monthly meetings. You sit in, you try to understand, and if there is something, they ask, they ask to contribute, and you contribute. So it's very simple. And then we have youth IGF. So youth IGF are very simple. I mean to say, if you are under 30, gather a group of people, have the slots, they have a certain toolkit. Even for the national IGF, we did develop a toolkit back then in 2000, I think it was in 2014 or 15. So I'm going to share you that as well. and and by and using that, you could figure out what is the way to do it. So what are the values, core values of national and regional IGF? First thing, openness and transparency. you know why is it important to be open? Because we want people, we want different stakeholder. We don't want it to be something like a report, something else happens, something else report is created. So it's in the core values that it has to be open, it has to be transparent, right? So that is the reason why IGF has this core value, inclusive. It has to include everyone. So a lot of you might understand this. The meaning of what inclusion, representation, and then diversity. These three things are different. You might see it similar, but those three things are different. Why? When you include people, only then the representation happen. When you represent, only then diversity comes in. So it is kind of like a process. And IGF has to be inclusive, whether it is at the international level, regional level, or at the youth level. So it has to be open, it has to be inclusive. Bottoms up approach, everybody, all the stakeholders should be there, right? Multi-stakeholder and non-commercial. So a lot of the times what happens is you cannot charge people for coming to an IGF. So that is a first you know mandate that they do set in, that IGF has to be open. Because if you charge people, then it is not inclusive, it is not bottoms up, and it is not open. So there can be business promotion that can happen, people can come do their business, but it has to be open, it has to be transparent in terms of funds, it has to be transparent in terms of the discussions that is happening, the reports that are being prepared, everything. So it is more like a collaborative way of creating a community where voices are. And I mean to say, it is more like, when we talk about multi-stakeholderism, a lot of the times, especially the government people, they see that consensus cannot be built in the multi-stakeholder process. But it is more like, when you try to understand people, then you have that energy to collaborate, create that consensus, and work on your problems and challenges well. I mean, see, if you do not work on the whole approach, then things don't align. That is the reason why a lot of times, even here in Nepal, especially Nepal, we are trying to bring out our cyber policy and stuff like that. The government has been pressuring from the one side, trying to work it out, and the civil society is fighting back, trying to be more inclusive, trying to make it more open, trying to have more discussions. So we are struggling it since past 10 or 12 years just to bring out a cybersecurity policy. And it has been a chaos, and a lot of the discussions, a lot of the things. And the problem that Nepal has faced, especially with all these preparing all these laws, is they we kind of like, especially the government, when they push the laws and ideas, they just try to be very fixed, formidable kind of a law. And that's where the problem starts, because today's technology is changing. We used to be smart. Now things are working. We had okay, IoT devices. Those were like, IoTs were interoperable. Now we have AI with interoperability is something like, you can imagine. And for countries like ours, especially Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, we are already being victim. Facebook is using our data, we are using Apple products. So they are connected, there is an ecosystem, things are working their way. And once you type something in Google, it starts to show the ad. The generative AI is like creating a chaos. Nobody wants to know about that. Everybody is willing to talk about what how AI is going in the wrong way, but nobody wants to talk about what can be done to maximize the use of AI. I mean to say, let's look at it from the right perspective, to give it that idea where we can build our society. If internet was thought to be as a threat, then it would not have grown this much, right? So we have to understand this, and we have to believe in the positive side, giving the space to people, to ideas, to energies, to passion, and to make it work collaboratively. So that is the whole vision mission of internet governance. So as I've talked previously as well, internet governance is not a big term. It is governing the internet in the most multi-stakeholder, inclusive way of creating efficiency for the benefit of the public. So it has to be open, it has to be accessible for all, and now is the time when it has grown so much with the world, that it's a formidable tool now. Everybody is empowered with the internet, right? I mean to say, I see a lot of the people right now. Look at this situation. I'm from Nepal and I'm reaching out to you guys. This is the opportunity that I have been given with the internet. Was it possible back then? No. When we did the IGF back in 2016, it was like, it was completely chaos. We had some ideas and we did it, and it worked out. So I think it is more important for you guys to sit in, to talk, to open up, and to build that energy, to understand the positivity of internet and work your way around. The government is there to protect us. We have to accept that government is the father or the parent or whatever. They are there, and we have to collaborate with them. We have to work with them. As a civil society person, I believe in collaborating. I am, a lot of the times, I am not against the government, but I try to work with the government. But in a way, when I voice out my issue, it seems as if I'm against. But no, I'm trying to work with the government. I'm trying to facilitate the issues that my people or what I have encountered. And in this journey, it has been like, it has been a wonderful experience meeting people. And once you start to get into the community, the people, everybody is friendly. Everybody wants to share their knowledge, share their information, things like that. And it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. IGF is not a big thing. If you have an idea, you can like really do it. And you can like really, if it has been like 6 months before that, I talked with one of the ladies from Maldives, and she did the IGF, right? She it was just like, I have some tools as well. I'll be sharing that with you, how to form the multi-stakeholder group. And but first you have to understand what the multi-stakeholder values are, how you can govern, and how you can work with each other, with the different stakeholders. And it is a very good opportunity for the group to evolve as a civil society organization as well, right? Because once you start to do the IGF, you kind of like have this funds coming in, especially I think the if you apply, I believe the NRI group gives a $5,000 grant. So there is that. The ethnic supports the IGF, the ICANN supports the IGF, the .org supports the IGF. You can directly talk to them regarding this. There was a fund with the whole forum with ISOC, dot Asia and Apiga, or no, not Apiga. There was a collaborative fund that was also there. So funds is not a problem. The only problem is, you need to have this collaborative group. And once the group is formed, you run the sessions, you have the you talk among each other, different stakeholders. The government people person representative is there. She can lobby the government issues. Make it a point where you can work with the civil society. Make it a point you can work with the academics. Make it a point with the where you can work with the private sector, so that a beautiful dish comes out of including all that ingredients. So that is the way. And the values are very clear, as I've already mentioned. It has to be open, multi-stakeholder, inclusive. And I don't think anybody has any problems with that. So as I mentioned earlier, national, regional, internet government. So this is a specific group that is there in the IGF. So you can join this group. And their objectives, basic objectives: awareness and capacity building, collaboration, multi-stakeholder approach, discussions and exchange of ideas, opinions, blah 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 blah. And they run a lot of sessions these days. So I think it is better for you to understand, to join the NRI group in IGF. And then maybe plan it accordingly. But if you want to do it within 6 months, try to work your way, try to talk with the donors. A lot of you have the contacts. If you don't, then you could contact me. I can put you in contact with few of the grants that are available. And you could really contact them to form a group, get a get a website, and do it. So it's a community owned thing, and that money is community's money, right? A lot of these funds come from the internet as well, if you know or not. So it's our money coming back to us for raising awareness, for raising doing capacity building. And that is the good thing about the IGF. So stakeholders. So multi-stakeholder core organization team is established, where its membership is composed from different composition comes from at least three different stakeholders groups, like civil society, government, private sector, technical community, others. In the sense, students can also be there. And gender balance is also highly recommended, especially women. you know so you need to have the multi-stakeholder group organizing committee, where you want to put in more women participation. Because okay, and then there is a NRI toolkit. So it was back then in 2016 or 17. I will forward you the link. And even my name is mentioned somewhere. Yeah, I was also part of the working committee that made the toolkit. Because back then, things were not this easy. And it was like the few of the IGFs were being run. And for us, for newcomers who had understood what IGF is, we wanted it to be developed. A toolkit we had this idea that it needs a certain standard version, where you know things can align, values can align. So and that's how we created this NRI toolkit. So you could really do a search, Google search, and then you can get it. Or I have the link. I'll send the presentation to Namkha as well. Slides are not working or what? Okay. Okay, so this is the last slide. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer one by one.
Thank you, Sridharji. So first, I'll give opportunity to all of you to ask your questions. At the end, I'll go.
Sure, sure.
I think we already have one question in the chat. If you see, like Pratima Pradhan has one question for you.
Sure,
Like, what
let me
was the
check.
first?
Okay, okay, let me share my experience. So what had happened was, I'm a very transparent, open person. I mean to say, I have worked as a journalist. And I'm very accountable. I'm very transparent. I'm very open. You can ask Namka. You can ask Prerna as well. So when I work with people, I like to work with them solely. I mean to say, it's not 10% or 20%. I ask them to do their hard work. I ask them to come prepared. I show them the right way. So this is my style. So the problem that I was facing was, there were like different peoples who had vested interest in doing IGF. Because when you talk about IGF, there is a lot of funds that is involved. So you want to be more accountable, transparent, and open. So even regarding the I had mentioned that IGF started in 2016, but we did it till 2019. And after that we have not done it. That is because there was no transparency. Funds were mismanaged, and those things. But it could have evolved in a more better way, right? So that was the problem for me. And I envision IGF as more of a voluntary work where people needs to step in, and it has to be more collaborative, it has to be more engaging, it has to be yeah, funds is certainly a part, there is a cost to everything, it has to be managed, I understand that, but ultimately it should not be a business that should be run under that name. So I was very clear about it, and I am very clear today. Even for me right now, I do not have any goals in doing this, but I really want to help you guys do it. So that is the reason why I'm sharing it. And I believe that when I started, there was like very limited knowledge that was being passed on, the right information. And when you go through Google, the problem with Google is, you get all these garbage information, right? The right way is form a group, be transparent, be open, be inclusive. Every other person should get an opportunity outside the group. You want to train, go apply for fellowship, but it should not just be one person going out, there should be others who should go as well. When they come back, they should do the outreach. That is the main theme, right? One person sitting in having the knowledge doing nothing, it doesn't make sense. That money, when you go to ethnic, when you go to APRIGF, when you go to IGF, a lot of the community money is spent on you. I mean to say $10,000 minimum is spent on you. That money is spent because they want you to go back to the community and engage. And at the end of the day, let me tell you, there are people like us who judge, who are there in the chair, who look into the application. We don't give fellowship to random people, let me tell you. We give fellowship to people who are more engaging in their communities, who are more working their way, who are more interested in creating. This year we had around 458 applications for the APRIGF. So you can imagine the level of interest within these groups, where people want to come to all these events, because there is opportunity, there is a lot of uh, name, fame, and personally, professionally, you can grow as well, right? But the point is, you have to come back to the community, be responsible, share your knowledge. I don't know, people are scared. I mean to say, back then as I mentioned earlier, in the 2010, and back then, there were very few people who were going to ICANN. So what had happened was, one of the person had came to here to outreach, and I asked him about how, why my applications are not going in. And that person particularly told me that, you know to apply for ICANN fellowships, your work should align with ICANN's work. Only then they give the fellowship. For ethnic, you need to align your work and fellowship application according to ethnic's roles and responsibilities. Only then they will give you the fellowship. So you have to understand this, right? So that's where, and that's how, like, I started creating toolkits. I started outreaching, I started, I've been involved with the ICANN community. I was the APDALO policy forum chair. I was the social media communication guy, chair for the at large. So that is like the regional thing, not regional but international. And I became the regional chair as well. So a lot of these experiences is what I have gained from this community. That is the reason I'm getting back to you. I'm not getting any funds, I'm not getting any recognition, but I'm trying to help, because you if you do it, you guys will be part of my legacy, and I'll be happy to see a country like Bhutan doing its IGF, most diplomatic and proper, collaborating with the government. And this is where we have to understand the importance role of government. We cannot fight with the government, we have to take facilitate each other and weigh our work around. Especially in ICANN, there are like different groups, right? There are like the private sectors are there, the governments are there, you know everything is there, and the way it works is fascinating. So, any more questions?
Uh, I don't know whether it answers our question. So what I what was in my mind was like she was trying to ask you, like when we started off with IGF in Nepal. So what were the issues like regarding the internet governments, and what
Okay.
have you been tackled till now? Like
Okay.
what was the resolution?
Okay.
Something like it.
So, yeah. So basically, when we started in 2016, we were talking about digital rights and freedom of expression then, right? So now it has evolved. I mean to say, a lot of recognition, a lot of organizations are working. The government is more flexible now. I mean to say, we had ISOC Nepal chapter then. So these organizations and these platforms kind of like facilitate, right? Facilitate the environment, right? A lot of the times it's like it can be looked as a overwhelming way if you look at it from the stakeholder side, but it is just the once you start to mm, get used to it, then you kind of like are flexible, more comfortable talking about the issues. I mean to say, let's talk about freedom of expression, especially in Asia Pacific. There are loads of things that are happening, right? But once you start to work your way within your country's regulations, rules, things like that, then it becomes very comfortable. Once the people are there, it becomes flexible. And from then till now, what we have gained is the scenarios have changed, right? There were like 5 or 10 people then speaking about digital rights. Now a lot of the people are talking about digital rights, and you would not believe that people have been arrested just for posting a comment in Facebook. Now things cannot be done like that, right? I mean to say, there were issues when people, there was a case. I still remember, when I was a journalist, I used to do a lot of writing, and I had to cover these issues that one of the guy had commented something about a person, about a police official who had, like, not done his job properly, as his cycle was stolen away, and this guy said something bad about this guy, and he was like arrested then. So just because someone said something on Facebook which is not even official, arresting him doesn't make sense. So from then till here, things have changed. Criminalization, is more or less there, but it is flexible. It has been flexible. So I'm not supporting that, but what I'm supporting is there has to be a constant dialogue between government and civil society regarding this, right? Because it is government is trying to protect the people, but the people also have to make their voices heard, because ultimately the policies are not comfortable enough for the people. So they have to lobby their things. They have to say, they have to speak, right? And both have to come to an understanding. So, please, it gives. Yeah. Question from MJ. Okay, let me check. Nepal IGF, who are the team, are the full-time volunteers like us in Bhutan? I mean to say, yes. I mean to say, when we started, I have a proposal there in internet with Nepal IGF, and when we started, all these voluntary people. So basically, we do not have staff, but a lot of the times what happens is when you are starting, uh, you need a certain backup. Somebody can put in more, and it can be later on covered, it can be managed, right? But it's a collaborative effort. So you can ask some organization, NGO, to become a secretariat. As we did it in Nepal, we asked the DOIT, Department of IT, to become the secretary of Nepal IGF. That's how it was done. So is Nepal IGF registered as a CSO? We tried. I mean to say, we did try to register it, but the problem with that was, there were certain needs where we could not. And I think if we had registered, then it would have functioned more better, because that way auditing and everything, it would, you know create. So, if you would like to, then you can group up of people, establish a CSO, a community based CSO, and that way it will be more functional, that you will have a bank account, funds can be transferred to that specific organization, Bhutan IGF. So that is more of a more better way, right? But look at your laws, look at the ways how you can do it, because there is a lot of funds coming in. Let me tell you, a lot of funds will come in. It is better if you have a organization registered, if it's audited, it's open, it's transparent. That way it is like, we definitely need grants, can you let us know? And yeah, sure, 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 that is the reason why I am here. I'm helping you guys because I have, I know people from NRI. I will share it with you. You guys can have a that Google group or something. Then we can start reaching out. But the first thing is, you work your way to your country. First, make a group, try to talk, try to bring in different stakeholder group people, academics as well, from, if there are other organization, digital right organization, make a formal group, right? Within the group, then you can have a chair or a secretary just to start documenting. It will take about 3 4 months. Meet every month online, or do that. Start documenting the issues. Talk about how you can, what are the issues, or what issues you want to discuss. This is the way we plan to start both NIGUS and the ID. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a very excellent idea. Starting both national IGF and youth IGF. Within the national IGF, you can have a session for the youth IGF. And as the people come in, like, I would suggest this, because you don't want to take all the burden. You're doing the national IGF as well as the youth, so have a session for the youth IGF. So once the people come in, they show the interest, they see the fellowship opportunities, learning opportunities, they will create their own path. And more or less, it is like youth IGF is more open because it's related to youth. They want to talk about issues. So a bit national IGFs are more straightened, more lined, according to, there are certain formats. You want to have those sessions, human rights sessions, other session, technical sessions, or government sessions. Youth IGF, it is open, they talk about issues. So what else was the question? Okay, whom should we closely what whom should we work closely with? Look, uh, regarding the NRI, National Regional IGF, that is a group where all the national IGFs are there, right? Once you do your IGF, or once you start the process, you work with the UN IGF, not the APR IGF. APR IGF individually you can go and join, right? Like Namkha is there, Prerna is there. You also, others can also go and participate and see how they do the meetings, what are happening. So it's basically about what you observe and learn and practice. There is no hard and fast rule about how you conduct the meetings, or whether you want to make it open or not. If you don't want to do the meetings openly, you can have a sitting hall, do a face-to-face meeting, do the minuting, keep it down there. And once the members come in, you can put it down. Or if you want to have an open meeting, do a online meeting, meet up and talk about the issues. From one of your report I went through, you have mentioned that the government should act like a facilitator, not regulator. uh, I was expecting this. Okay, but you mentioned that IGF is more like a arm twisting to government. How to handle this delicate situation, right? So look, you know the civil society, the voice of civil society is always not against the government. As I said, we are trying to work, but the way it is upon the government how they see us. If you want to see us that we are giving you the suggestion, you accept it, let us work together. But if you are seeing us as a threat, you know I would like to say, put it in a very positive way, because I've experienced this. And a lot of the times what happens is, government, they want to more work in the regulatory way, but things have changed. I mean to say, now, since internationally a lot of the awareness, capacity building is happening, now people don't want to get into that shoes, but they want to control. Where I have this belief that at least you have to listen to the people's voice. You cannot be like, even parenting these days is like, what, you don't want to scold, you just want them to be disciplined and do their work, rather than understanding your choices. So I think it is, if you have this positive attitude, And if the government also wants to step in, then let's work together. Why to fight? Because it's a collaboration. As I say, it's a collaboration. It's a win-win situation for everyone that way. Finally, from where we are, we should be our next step, so that we, like I said it, form a group, start meeting, casually, weekly, monthly. It's upon you, it's upon your seriousness, how you want to groom it. As I said, funds is not a problem. My dear people, funds is not a problem. Internationally, there is a lot of funds. You will get opportunity, you will get people like me coming in. I'll bring in people. I'll promise, I'll get someone from the group, and then have this talk about solving your issue. Maybe next week we can have another call, and bring in the expert, the contact person there. They come, they do help. So that way, you know but the whole idea is it should come from you, right? Let's not just focus on the idea of doing it like solely with the civil society. We want to do it like this. No, let's collaboratively work our way in a common goal way, creating benefit for everyone. Under 30, not 13, I guess. Okay, I didn't get this. So yes, so Namka has also shared the
Yeah,
exact.
in the question number 4, Manush has mentioned that you mentioned youth means under 13 as per UN. I think that definition is different. So
No, no, no. It is under 30. Yeah. It is not
yeah,
under 13. It is 30. So even a lot of the fellowships, even with the next gen fellowships with ICANN, it's under 30 or under 25. So the ages, there are different fellowships with ISOC. Also, they have youth ambassador program that is under 25 or 30. Even ICANN, they have fellowships under 30. So especially for young people, it is under 30, not 13. So because under 13 you're not eligible. For under 13 they have teens, right? So there is another group that has been created. What are the first governing issues in Nepal that you tackled when you first start? Okay, so sorry. Oh, I was like up there. Okay, so these are the things for the teens. They have another group that they have started, because a lot of the kids are now addicted. So I'm also part of that group as well, and I'm working there as well. And they try to create awareness, they try to create those values with kids, how what are the issues, challenges, because especially in developed countries, a lot of the young kids are being targeted, especially with the other the um, what do you call it, uh, they kind of like they kind of like target these young children, especially for sex and all these things. So what they have started doing is they have started this group, educating, awareing, below 13. uh, I mean to say, within the teens, they have this group, and then they are like talking more about awareness, because that is different, right? And the youth IGF is kind of like they are similar, but with the teens, it is more of a issue of values. So okay, any more questions?
Uh, Shudipji, thank you for answering all my questions. Sorry, I put it in the text.
No
I
worries.
have one last question.
Sure, sure.
How do you manage your grant if you are not a CA? So, like you said, lots of money come in, right? In
Right,
Nepal IGF. So,
right.
how do you manage the funds?
So here in Nepal, it depends upon the country, right? So you have to understand, go talk with the bank. They might have certain accounts that can be opened and closed after the event, after submitting an audit report. Because here in Nepal, what we did was, there was this provision for receiving the account, and receiving the money, and we created that account for Nepal IGF, and as soon as the money was brought in, then they closed the account. So there are ways. about how you get the money, because a lot of the times money will be coming from outside, and taking the money in the personal account, that is tricky, right?
Hmm.
So that there is a point. So
But
you have to work. I mean to say, if you want to establish a CSO, I will suggest you to go for a CSO, civil society organization. That way it is more prominent. Or if you want to do it within the government also, that is fine. Do the audit, do the report, do the audit. And the government is like more flexible enough. If any of the department supports, there should be department of IT, there should be others. So even for Nepal, we had set up a bank account as well as the department of IT, because since with the department of IT we could not use their account, as there was issues. Because with the government they have like all these issues with signing the thing, and like verifications and all these issues. So we kind of like opted for the other one, opening a volunteer bank account. And then as soon as the event was done, closed, it was done. So
and what about the remaining balance
no,
when
that
you
was the
close the account?
problem. That is the reason why things didn't go out the right way. A lot of the things were in chaos here. That's why we have been from 2019. We kind of like made it a point, because from 2016 we started and there were some issues, financial issues, like we from the multi-stakeholder group, we demanded an audit report. And 2019 it was the IGF was done on the terms that audit report was mandatory, but they didn't do it. What they did was they published a report in the website stating these were the expenses, these were the fund sources, and we are not satisfied with that. So we had an issue with that. So that is the reason why we are not happening it right now. So I think those things can be managed, or you can find a CSO that can do the thing.
But for CSO we need a physical office. That's the Bhutan rule, so we can't.
No,
All
no,
of us
I
are
mean to say a
volunteer.
running CSO. You can ask the running CSO that we are trying to do an IGF. You can have a MOU done with them, and create a voluntary group where both the organization signs and says that the amount coming in will be audited and everything will be done. And you don't need to open a CSO. Then
Okay,
there should be some
that is
digital
one
right
thing.
organization or something.
We don't. Maybe Pratima has better idea. Do we have any that deals with all this, Pratima? Digital right or something? I don't know.
I mean to
We
say
don't have a
there
C.
should be some CSO or organization.
Yeah, we
How
have,
does
but
the
it's more like
how does the
disability.
nog? How about nog? How do
Nog,
they operate?
nog, nog. I had to do some backdoor entries and open the account,
Okay,
but now even
then,
that account is jurisdiction. So
okay,
yeah,
then you have an issue, because a lot of
yeah.
the
And
funds will be
it was
coming
the
from
last
outside.
account they opened on that terms. After that, they did not open for anyone else. So that's why. So that is
Okay.
there, but I think we have to do it properly this time for IGF.
Yeah,
We
no,
don't want to
no.
do like.
Like talk with the people. I mean, see, you're not trying to, create some forgery or here. You're trying to do an event where the funds would come, and I understand. You have to be very clear that there will be expenses. I understand there will be expenses, communication, this and that. It has to be managed, and after that, if any funds left, use it for outreach, use it for, and there will be a lot of funds that will be there, and you can use it for next year as well. And you have to be
Mhm.
very clear. If you're clear, the government doesn't have a problem. I think the government will support all these activities if you are clear, transparent, accountable. That is the reason why I'm also trying to show you that path.
Yes, yes. I think we'll do that. Now, one more last thing, Mr. Shridip.
Sure, sure.
So, do you have some kind of bylaws or some protocols or whatever for Nepal IGF that you have? When people ask
Yes.
around, you show them or something.
Yes. So what we did was we had. I will check if I have that. So there was a declaration that was signed by all the members, all the IGF founders, and it was published. So let me check, and I'll send it to Namka. So you can also have, unanimous declaration that, writing everything, making it very clear loud that, and you can submit it to the government as well, that, we are voluntary, we are not going to use the money personally, like all these things, everything, it will be accountable, transparent. It, once your consciousness is clear, once you have that clarity, once you explain it like the way you are asking it to me, because you know that I have done it, and I have the thing, so I'm putting it in a very open way, and you're talking with me like this, then, go back to your country and like talk with the people. There will be a way. I can guarantee you that there is a way. There is always a way. But don't go through the back doors and doing this thing. No, you are doing it for the community. Like, express it. Maybe it may take a month or a two. Then go for a CSO, because even for a CSO, the government might be interested, because it's a multi-stakeholder. It is not just the civil society. It's a multi-stakeholder, and it's better if the government facilitates, if the government organization facilitates it. Then like, you don't have any issues, because you can directly receive the funds in the government way, and then it can be managed, and there is no problem. So try to work your way with the Department of IT or something. Try to get that person in.
Sure. We have Pratima here from GovTech, so I think we
Okay.
have to use her help. And I
Sure,
think
sure,
that's it
sure.
from my
Go ahead.
side. Thank you so much for clearing all the doubts from me, at least. Maybe others have something else.
Yeah, please, please, be friendly. I'm your friend here. So ask me, and probably I'll in the second series, I'll get someone from the NRI. So I'll get someone. That way it will be more comfortable. So I'm planning to get someone from the NRI, and let's see, maybe next week. What is today? Today is Tuesday. So most probably next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, we'll get that person, and then we'll talk about these issues, about NRI, and that person will be able to you know clear your doubts well, I guess.
Sure, Mr.
and
Sridhar.
and for the time being, you can create a WhatsApp group, something like that, and I'll be able to share you the values of multi-stakeholder, how to form. I have a toolkit about how to form a multi-stakeholder group and things like that. So
Yes, that we got from UN.org, and we followed that toolkit only. That's how
okay.
we started the stakeholder groups. I mean, thing and all.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah. So right now we have, as you can see, we are mostly technical,
Right.
and Prerna has just joined us. So, how big a multi-stakeholder group should be, as per your experience?
The more the better. The more the better. Make it open. Make it very clear. We want to be transparent. We are auditing. Once you have that, it's endless. The more people join in, the more collaborative you become, is the more easier it is to handle, right? But if you start to constrict it, that's when the problem starts. I mean to say, for the first time, uh, don't make it that big. Try to have like maybe 10 or 15 people, different
Okay.
stakeholders, two from each or three from each, have at least
Mhm.
50% women participation, because that way it looks better. Maybe have somebody from the inclusive handicap representation. That way,
Mhm.
it kind of like makes sense that they also are putting their effort in. You will see the difference. It is a challenge, but the way you handle it is how you learn, right? For me, I had all the values. When I started, I was the on top. It was very easy for me. It came naturally for me because I listen. I'm not a stubborn person who would like do it. I at least, you kind of like listen. These values are openness, transparent. You're listening to people. Then you okay. Somebody suggests something like, let's change this. Let's have like in the latest version of Nepal IGF. What we did was, we kind of like had a interpretation, the sign language interpretation. So that went very well. The
Mhm.
whole world admired that, right? So I think
Mhm.
those are the issues where you want to do that, make it more inclusive and things like that. So that way it will be easy. But since it's first time, try to limit it within 15 or 20 people. because you need people, and try to delegate the roles. I mean to say Prerna, Namkha, all these people, young people are there. Try to give them the responsibility of social media, communication. Give it to someone else. Pratimaji is also there from government. you know Delegate the responsibilities. That way you develop leaders. That way you kind of like work together, and that way ownership is developed. But if one person is taking a lead and others are only following, then a lot of the times it becomes very monotonous. But what you do is you create those segments. You create a program committee, you create an organizing committee. The program committee will look into the programs. So try to have some academic people there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are very good with doing all these sessions. So like I have 4 or 5 agendas. Maybe have 2 days session, digital rights, then technology, then something else as well, open forum, where people can talk, technical. Maybe ethnic might send some trainers or this thing, you can talk with them. They do send out, a lot of the times they do send out people. Even I can as well. Since it's happening in Bhutan, they are also interested. There is a stakeholder engagement group, right? And there
Mm-hmm.
are people like us who are willing to help. And even if you don't get speakers, we can come in, talk about what IGF is all about freedom of expression, about sharing our experiences, things like that. You will be surprised. In 2016, I was part of the IGF Sri Lanka. It's documented.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend was doing this session in my friend was organizing IGF 2016, right? So he said,
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the Internet Rights and Principle Coalition, dynamic coalition for Internet and Rights and Principle group. So he said, Shridip, can you do something? I said, I can take the session. So I took it online, and it is recorded. It is there in internet right now.
Mm.
So that
Nice.
can be done. You can ask people to come in from different parts of the world. Technology, but National IGF, a lot of the times it is more like internal issues, things like this. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can be more inclusive towards the Bhutanese people only. So that is also there. So it's
Yeah.
upon you guys to understand and delegate, right? So there is
Mm-hmm.
no hard and fast rule. There are basic certain rules regarding how to conduct an IGF. As I already mentioned, no charging. You can have business opportunities to give out free pen drives or whatever, if people want to promote. If ethnic wants to come in, give bags or whatever, allow everything, because that's more lucrative. People come to see. And a lot of the times, especially young people come in, they talk, and the whole part is, all these organizations, they provide you free Zoom account as well. So like, you can ask people to join in from their homes as well. There are people,
Mm-hmm.
there are students, so they can join. It's not important for them to do so. Right now it is national, so keep it national. You don't need to make it more open to the outside world. Make it national. Give out the Zoom links to the people who can reach out and these things.
Okay, Stradipji. Thank you so much. I got all the information that I needed for now. Thank you so much from
Sure,
my
sure.
side. If
No
Pratima
worries.
or Nam to add, please.
I think now all the people are leaving, so uh, I hope that we will again have next meeting, uh, as promised by Mr. Shridip. So I would
Sure.
like to thank Mr. Shridip for giving us overview on the IGF and like how to go about.
Right.
So I want to thank you for like coming to this, making this call possible. So I
Yeah.
think like we can have internal meeting on us and like how to go about our MSG and all.
Sure, sure. So please do that, and make a group. Try to communicate with the people. Try to have different stakeholder people and get the ideas from them, because ultimately you guys will be running it, not Sriti Prayamaji or somebody from ISOC or somebody. No, because you understand the problems and challenges. You understand the people well, not me. I can just give you the ideas, values, right? and probably I'll promise that I'll try to get someone from the NRI, and within next week or next week, but we will have someone coming in with a, you know, they will be talking about the Bhutan IGF, and let's have a group. Let's have 10 names, 15 names. So Namka, please work on that. Manoj ji is also there, Pratima ji is also there. You know, make a list out of that and then start working. And you know, you will have, and I'll share with you the proposal that I've done with the Nepal IGF. A lot of the information is there, so you know, like, you can create something like that so that you could you know, build it up. You could send it to the other, you know, the different stakeholders, organizations, you know, that way.
Sure,
Okay.
sure, Sridhar. I'm sure you know Mr. Tashi Funso from APNIC, who was in APNIC. He is also a part of this, but he could not join the meeting today. Mr. Tashi
Tashi.
Funso. Yeah, Tashi Funso from APNIC. He used to work for APNIC. Now he's in Flex Optics. So he's
Okay.
also part of BTNOC. So he's also part of this as an advisor
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
in
yeah, sure, sure.
Australia.
Like, try to connect with BTNOG, because they have an experience about doing all these experience. You know it, right?
Yes.
So you know,
Yes, yes. We are
you have
part
an
of this.
idea, right?
Me and
Get those
Yeah,
people.
yes, sir.
Get those people.
Mr. Manoj ji is one of the members
Right.
of BTNOC.
So you have a person who is doing events, so you don't have a, you don't need a, you know, a other idea about how to do. You, the nog experience is there, then you know, it's like having a, get a academic person. The IGF reference is there. You could get all the IGF, you know, how the sessions are run, how the things, that is very easy, that is not a problem. You know, you have a moderator, you have five speakers, or you want to make it a you know, multi-stakeholder group discussion or whatever. You know, it's upon you to do it. So it's upon you, your concept, your things, what you need. So that is a priority.
Yes. So at first, I think we need a website which UN.org has promised and a mailing list that
Okay.
even Mr. Tashivan said he can help. So I think we'll start with that. We actually had already started, but like I said, our government came in. They also want to do the same thing. Then UN.org could not continue with us. So now we are stuck.
Yeah,
So I think now
that
we,
is the reason why. That is the reason why I'm
yeah.
telling you, because even in India they had a lot of problems with the government. So that is the reason why they didn't had an IGF. They started with youth IGF now, right? So
Mhm.
they are
Mhm.
planning to. I think they did it last year or something. So you
I
don't
think
want
they
to.
they're having IGF in Bangalore this year, no?
Right. So
Indian IGF.
yeah, Indian IGF, I think this year. So
Yeah,
you don't want to have government, because a lot of the times what happens is they kind of like, you know, but you have to facilitate them and you know, work your way out. So
sure, definitely.
okay then, yeah, thank you for attending. I guess you know, if there is anything, you know, do buzz me, and I'm always available, and I'll try to contact that person and I'll get back to you.
Definitely. I have
Sure, sir.
added you on LinkedIn as well.
Sure, no worries. Then we can talk more elaboratively, Namkha
Sure,
and Manojji both.
sure, sure.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
thank you.
Namka. Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you, Mr. Manoj and Mr. Shreddy for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.